death.
Welcome back, guys, to another Clash Royale video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this giant miner strategy that I'm using on my main account inside the Legendary Arena. Now here's a deck if you want to go ahead and copy it. Let's go ahead, take a look at some replays, and then we'll finish off with a live battle. So here we are, guys, facing off against another level 10. Now thankfully I do have the pump in my starting hand, so that will be my first move. Now one of the downsides to using a pump deck is relying on the luck factor of having the pump in your starting hand. If it's all the way at the back of your card rotation, it's a lot harder to make good use of it, and you're at a big disadvantage versus an opponent who has the pump in their starting hand. Now my opponent is going to go ahead and use the Fireball to damage that pump as well as the tower, which actually is pretty good for me because his Fireball costs 4 elixir, but I also get 2 elixir back from that pump, so I'm winning a 1 elixir trade every single time he uses the Fireball to damage that pump, and I probably would get even more elixir from it if my pump was level 7, but unfortunately I just don't have the gold yet to upgrade it. I'm saving all of my gold for the Zap upgrade because pretty much everyone that I face has level 11 goblins, and I can't one-shot those goblins, so I have to save out 20,000 gold to upgrade my Zap spell to level 11. Now I'm going to go ahead here and use the cannon to distract the Hog Rider, and then use that Zap spell to finish off all the support troops in the back. Now one of the weaknesses that I will admit about this deck is its average elixir cost being 3.8, and it doesn't really have any fast cycling cards like goblins, Ice Spirit, or Fire Spirits, or anything like that, so it does have a pretty big weakness against fast cycling Hog Rider decks and fast cycling Miner decks, but thankfully the Hog Rider deck that my opponent is using isn't a fast cycling deck, so this should still be a pretty even fight. Now once again, going to go ahead and place the pump in the middle of my base, but I'm going to place it closer to the left-hand tower so I can alternate which towers he's damaging with that Fireball. And like I said, even though he uses the Fireball to damage the pump, I'm still winning a 1 elixir trade from it, so it's still beneficial to me. Now I'm going to start doing a slow push here on the right hand side with that Musketeer. Now looking back at it, I'm not too sure why I decided to switch up lanes, because I already have a little bit of damage onto his tower on the left hand side, but nonetheless, the Giant going down in front of that Musketeer, setting up a strong push, and I'm expecting the Barbarians this time, so I have the Poison Spell already down. Now one of the downsides to using a Poison Spell over something like a Fireball is how long it takes to do full damage. If I would have had a Fireball in that instance, I could have Fireballed all the Barbarians as well as the Musketeer, and finished them off pretty quickly, saving a ton of health on the Giant, and the Giant would have probably made it to the tower, but unfortunately I had the Poison Spell in this deck. But overall, the Poison Spell is still better than a Fireball with its wider radius and longer lasting time, but it just has some weaknesses against stuff like Barbarians and stuff like that. But thankfully, we defended against that Giant Skeleton Hog Rider push pretty easily, and then once again I'm going to go ahead and place on the pump in the bottom right corner. And the great thing with forcing my opponent to use his Fireball to damage the pump means he won't have it available to take up my support troops on a push like my Musketeer. So Giant going down to distract his Musketeer, my Musketeer finishing off, and once again using that preemptive Poison Spell, damaging all those Barbarians, and this time I'm going to use the Miner to go in and assassinate the Ice Wizard. And that's one of the great things with this deck, is there's 2 main attack strategies. One, you can either do a typical Miner push with like the Miner, the Mini P.E.K.K.A. and a Zap spell, or you can do a Giant push and then use that Miner to either get a ton of damage into the tower, or go in and assassinate some troops like a Princess, an Ice Wizard, or even a Musketeer. So I'm going to go ahead here, use that Poison Spell, slow down his Musketeer and allow mine to win the trade, and then use the Miner here to try and distract his tower and allow my Musketeer to do damage to the tower. But unfortunately, he uses the Barbarians to counter the Musketeer, but I'm still getting a little bit of chip damage done by the Miner, so it's all pretty good in the end, because his tower is sitting at 1200 health, both of my towers still sitting pretty much at full health, and thankfully the cannon is still distracting his Musketeer as well as the Ice Wizard, allowing my Musketeer to win the trade. We're going to start setting up the final push here with the Giant up front, and as soon as the tower is distracted by the Giant, that's when I'm sending the Miner to do some damage to that tower, and thankfully the Miner by itself is doing a ton of damage with the Poison Spell going down, the Giant finally making it to the tower, getting that final couple of hits off, giving me the 1 crown victory. Let's go ahead here to the next replay. So here we are, guys, facing off against a level 9 this time, but his card levels are actually pretty comparable to mine, and some of them are even higher level. Like, he has a level 7 pump versus my level 6, he's got level 8 3 Musketeers versus my level 7, and he has a level 2 Ice Wizard, so definitely still a fair fight in here. Now my opponent is using a Royal Giant strategy, and even though the Royal Giant got nerfed in the last update, I still feel pretty good every time I beat it, because I don't really like the Royal Giant card, as many people don't. Now I'm going to start doing a slow push on the right hand side with my Musketeer to counter that single Musketeer on the right hand side, and I'm also going to use my Giant to distract both of those musketeers in the left-hand lane, but unfortunately, I used the giant 1 second too early. I should have waited a little bit longer and allowed that second musketeer to cross the bridge into tower range, and as a result, I was forced to spend 3 more elixir on a cannon to finish it off. But thankfully, my giant will go back there, getting a couple hits off, doing about 500 damage on a counter push, so I'm always happy with some free damage. Gonna go ahead and use some poison spell here to damage that pump, damage the cannon, as well as damage the tower, and then I'm gonna start getting ready for this Royal Giant defense. Gonna go ahead and use my mini P.E.K.K.A in the back behind my King Tower, because by the time she makes her way up to the bridge, she should counter the Royal Giant on my side of the arena. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cycle to my miner, use the miner in the back to distract the Ice Wizard, and the great thing with that is the Ice Wizard doesn't slow down my mini P.E.K.K.A, allowing the mini P.E.K.K.A to take out the Royal Giant faster, preventing lots of damage to my tower. And as you can see, that level 10 Royal Giant only got a couple hits on my tower, bringing it down to 2400 health, and thankfully, the mini P.E.K.K.A going back on a counter push, getting a couple hits off, and my opponent has no elixir left to defend. Giant finishing off his cannon, going onto the tower, doing more damage, and he's actually giving me the 1 crown lead so far in this battle, and with a minute 20 seconds left, that's always a good thing, having a 1 crown lead earlier on in the battle. Now Giant still going on there, getting a couple hits off on the King Tower, and my opponent saving up all his elixir. Now he makes a pretty big mistake right there, dropping the 3 musketeers all by themselves in the bridge there, and when you're facing somebody that has a poison spell and a zap spell on your deck, you don't want to place your musketeers together, because a poison zap combo will finish them off pretty quickly, or in that instance, a poison spell slows them down long enough, allowing the mini P.E.K.K.A to finish them off. Now I'm going to go ahead here, use the musketeer to take out the Royal Giant. Unfortunately, I used the cannon as well as the mini P.E.K.K.A a little bit earlier to counter that 3 musketeers, so I'm going to have to soak up a little bit of damage from the Royal Giant, but I'm going to go ahead and use the zap spell to reset the attack timer and also save a little bit of damage from my tower. And with 38 seconds left, all I really have to do is just keep defending, and I should be able to hold up for the 1 crown victory. Gonna go ahead and use the pump in the bottom right corner, just in case this battle does go into overtime. I want to have the elixir flowing from the pump in that instance, but mini P.E.K.K.A going down to counter the Royal Giant, cannon going down to distract it with the poison spell, slowing everything down and finishing off those barbarians. So pretty clutch defense right there. I didn't take any damage to my tower, and I also have a mini P.E.K.K.A going back as well as a musketeer. Gonna go ahead and use the poison spell once again to slow down those musketeers, and thankfully, because of that pump usage I did earlier, I'm able to cycle through my cards pretty fast and keep defending. And here we are, guys, with only 4 seconds left, getting the 1 crown victory. Let's go ahead here and do a live battle. So here we go, facing off against level 10. Give me all good luck. And let's see what we can do here. No pump in the starting hand, which is really unfortunate. And that's one of the things I don't really like about the Elixir Pump playstyle, is relying on that luck factor of having it in your starting hand. Because if he has a pump in his starting hand, which he probably doesn't because he hasn't played anything yet, then I'm at a severe disadvantage. But let's give him the old well played there, waiting for him to make the first move. And we might end up starting with the first move, a giant push. Not too sure if I should do the giant or the musketeer first. Let's go ahead, because if I use a giant, then he'll just play defensive and maybe use like a mini P.E.K.K.A or something in the back up there to counter it, and then he has the advantage. So let's give him the old thumbs up, and we're going to start doing a musketeer push on the right hand side. And finish him with a wow. So cannon going down to distract this with the poison spell to slow everything down and finish off that minion horde. There we go. And I don't have anything, so let's go ahead and use this to support maybe a zap spell to kill goblins or something. No, barbarians, so that's not good, because we're going to have a strong counter push to worry about right here. Let's go ahead and use this mini P.E.K.K.A to counter that. And that should counter those barbarians. Unfortunately, the barbs are level 11, which my mini P.E.K.K.A is only level 7, and level 11 commons are balanced against level 9 rares, so quite a bit of a disadvantage there. But this guy has a minor cycle deck, or sorry, hog cycle deck, I think, so we are, like I said before, having that hog rider is a bit of a hard time against this deck right here, because I don't really have any fast cycling cards. Hit him with the crying face right there. Gonna go ahead and use the musketeer to counter this with a cannon. Now, notice how for some reason that poison spell went down instead of the cannon. I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, I selected cannon, but for some reason it went to go use the poison spell, which always confuses me as to why that happens, because it delayed my reaction time by about a second, which means that I wasn't able to get the cannon down in time to distract the hog rider. So let's go ahead and use this miner right here with a musketeer right here, poison spell right here for the barbarians that are coming. Get the zap spell ready for all this. Boom. Now, because I just used that zap, I'm expecting a minion horde in 2 seconds. Let's start out with this. Oh, he's using a Hog Rider Royale Giant deck. That's dirty. Let's use that. No, I wanted... Oh, yeah. I wanted the Miner there, so I had no idea why that Musketeer came out. Because I'm almost 99% sure I selected Miner. Cannon going out to distract this Hog Rider. So unfortunately, a couple misclicks with my cards is kind of throwing me off here. Like I said, I wanted to use that Miner. But for some reason, the Musketeer came out. So let's go ahead and use this with this and this. And then we're going to go ahead and use a Miner right here. With a Poison Spell right here. For the Barbs that are coming out. Zap these. See for the Musketeer. Come on. Mini P.E.K.K.A. Get a couple hits off, please. One hit. There we go. And I should be able to cycle him out with Poison Spells. Let's send in a Miner just because. And let's poison this. There we go. Getting the victory, guys. Even though I made a couple misclicks. There we are. Give him the old good game. So like I said, not too sure why I misclicked those cards, but in the end, we still got the victory. So that's going to be the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please help me out by subscribing and hitting that like button. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.